It's time for some wheelin' and dealin' with Ralph Masengill, Mr. Change Agent, based out of East Tennessee, and he is joining us back on Big Blend Radio Success Express show today to share some of his tips on negotiating, and it's an art form. It really is. He covers it in depth in his latest book, which is now in its second printing. See?
Awesome.
That's awesome. It's called Conquer, Change, and Win, an easy-to-read, fun book on the serious subject of change. Now, would you think negotiating would be part of that book?
Of course. You have to negotiate with yourself to even make a change.
You have to negotiate with yourself to get up out of bed if it's cold outside. You know? It's like, do I really want to? You know? So we're just going to find out about that. Well, Ralph is a best-selling author, an award-winning advisor, a coach, a marketing and PR expert, and we're proud to say a Big Blend expert contributor. You can see his articles in Big Blend Radio and TV magazine, as well as Parks and Travel magazine, where we featured some of his tourism news and interviews. And keep up with him at conquerchangeandwin.com. And, of course, go get his book, Conquer, Change, and Win. So, Mr. Change Agent, how are you?
We are terrific, and by that I mean me and my ego.
Oh, your ego's doing good then, huh?
I don't know that I've been good, but I've certainly been arrogant.
Well, listen now. We're talking about, okay, negotiations. So is that how you start?
Well, I'm trying to sound pitiful, and I'm seeking pity now. To get you on my side, woe is me. And by the way, I have a theme song too. Ralph,
you do?
Yes, Ralph has a big mouth. Ralph has a big mouth. Shut it up, keep it up.
You know, that's a little bit better than the singing we did to you before we went on air, I have to say. I'll give you that.
Well,
points in your corner now.
Thank you for that, and I feel honored to have been a part of the musical arranging today. It's just been overwhelming. I thought the chords were good. I thought the intonation was right on target, and I thought the crescendos and the whole thing was just lovely. Lovely.
Wow.
That's all I can end with. You're quite welcome. Of course, I was talking about myself.
See, but that's it. But he says in his
book,
knew that. Conquer, Change, and Win, that go first. You must be the first person to speak, if possible, right? That's that you go for that.
Well, it's important to get your situation established as quickly as you can, and one of the ways to do that is to go first, and you can very much set the limits at the beginning of what you will and what you will not negotiate. And that puts you somewhat in the driver's seat. And that's what it's all about. Negotiation is about everybody winning. Now, I must admit that I expect to win more in my own mind than my opponent. But the whole key to this is ask for more than you want, fight for all of that, and then take a little less and shake hands.
See, and this is, you talk about this, it's really one of my favorite parts of your book, one of your chapters, is just because it gets to the nitty-gritty of the whole negotiation and what goes down. And it's very, it's about two parties coming together as a partnership, like what I was talking about in the beginning of the show, which I really love, is right now you see companies partner together. Some of them are sharing customers and customer information, not going to go into that, but you see these partnerships happen that actually benefits the customer, benefits both parties, so it's like a triple win, which I love. But you have to get some kind of trust. you also talk about, you want to have everything you want when you put it out on the table. You also talk about, putting things in there that you are willing to take away. So that's the first thing you're going to take away when someone's, So, Nancy taught me that. She was like, and not give the farm away, which has been a very hard lesson for Lisa. But I've learned, because eventually if the farm goes away, you go, oopsie.
You can't help anybody.
I learned that at a very young age, but it's true. But yeah, the trust factor, isn't that one of the core things, is setting up a trust factor between both parties?
Well, the key to this is if you don't trust your opponent, you're not apt to make a good negotiation, because if you don't believe what they are saying, how can you mix and match and get exactly what you want if he's not telling you all of the truth?
Exactly.
Or as I should have said, she won't tell you.
Oh. See, okay, well, everybody get a prenup. Remember that.
Oh, boy.
I just had to go there real fast. No, see, I just solve it by not doing that. But anyway, when you think about the trust factor, at the beginning of the show, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day today, and I said the time is always right to do what is right. That's a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. I think that actually goes 100% with what you write in your book on negotiation. Is you have to bring integrity to the table, right?
That's right.
Well, you absolutely do. And Martin Luther King was a man who was hated, loved, and then has now become beloved by everyone, and rightfully so. But to hear his melodious voice, and with that particular accent he has, it is just amazing the things that he went through, but more than that, the things that he said while he was going through it. They're just gems. They're masterpieces of thinking. And he did a super job. And he was a tremendous negotiator.
Yep, that's true, because he didn't lose it. You talk about that. He didn't lose it.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm. He would not lose his temper. And he was insulted daily, kept his integrity, and he kept his character where it should have been. And because of that, even his enemies began to respect him. And when you have respect of your enemy, you have an opportunity to wheel and deal. And that's what negotiation is.
Wow. See?
I think that's an important point, because you don't always have to like the other side, the other person, but respecting them and knowing who they are and understanding what they really are after is key to a negotiation. I mean, there's all through life you're going to meet people you really don't like for whatever reason. Sometimes you don't even know why you like a person or why you dislike a person. Sometimes it's just, on face value. You meet them, you're like, ew, I don't like you. The person hasn't even done anything yet.
It reminds me of my ex-boyfriend that I really didn't like.
Yeah, your instincts, so-called instincts, come into play. So it's good to, like, my grandmother taught me, keep your own counsel. In other words, don't say anything till you know what you're saying. And I think that's a big part of negotiating,
I think silence is the best weapon you can use in any conversation, and most folks just totally abuse it. They absolutely don't use it at all. They're afraid to use this wonderful tool called saying nothing. because it really changes the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you want. Your negotiation is about change. And
I'm so glad
anything
you said that. Yeah, because that's you wouldn't think about picking up a book of change and thinking negotiation is in there, but it's true. It's like as soon as you negotiate, a change is happening immediately, right?
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. And let's face it, in negotiation, you always, and always is really quite often, you always try for a win-win. And the important thing, it's not because we're just great guys. It's because it lasts longer. If he goes away thinking he got what he wanted, and I go away thinking I got what I wanted, we're not about going to argue again over something we both are satisfied with.
Oh. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And if one walks away
It's
not feeling good, it's going to fire back. It's going to come back.
Yes.
It bounces back like a boomerang.
And you have to worry about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it's an insurance policy.
Right.
Ralph, I want to go on the personal level of this for the world of salespeople had the snake oil salesmen or whatever you call them.
Hey, all right, it's up and at you. What did he give for this bottle here?
Exactly.
That's
right.
Right.
Exactly. So when I went into car sales, I know we've talked about this on the show before, but I went into car sales to see if it was worse than selling musical organs, everyone, musical ones, because that was cutthroat, and I didn't realize that when I stepped in. Hello, homework. And when I got in there, I was like, wow, we're selling organs that would go up into the tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, it was balancing on the 100,000 thing, and this was wrong. What later, I figured out that's bad. People are mortgaging their homes over an organ, and in Florida, at least the organ held the home down during a hurricane. But when we got over here to California at that point, I got into this. I went if I can sell organs, but I was we were teaching students. There was this nice thing about it. Go do car sales, and see what it was like. And you saw the fear of people walking in, and I realized everybody would pounce. You walked into a den of lions or vipers, whatever you want to call it. If anybody parked their car, they were walking in to 10 hungry salespeople ready to attack. At this point, I'm bored and I don't care. But they are doing that. The person now is already not feeling on their turf, and you talk about the importance of a negotiation being in a place where two people are comfortable and neutral, right? I watched that, and people already have their backs up. I watched things where
they're on the defensive. They're expecting you to try to pull something.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean you intend to or will, but deep down they don't trust us until we get that camaraderie, that communion situation of understanding a little more about each other. And communion is what that really is, which is a joining.
So find common ground quickly,
Exactly. And you can find it, you can find it with a communist, you could find it with a socialist, you can find it with a Republican and a Democrat, and you can find it with conservatives and ultra-liberals. I've got some friends that are totally 100% against my philosophy, but they're good people, misled, but good people.
But that's the thing. I think it's about reaching out. Where is our common ground? And we see that in politics where everybody goes, look, common ground. But on business, you've got to look at, okay, I'm selling this. This person is coming into the lot, so they already want it. So you already know they're looking, they're an active, they're maybe just doing their research at that time, but that means they're active. And they come in, and it's up to you. Just ask where they're from, right? Find out, hey, what kind of car you need a four-wheel drive. Well, what for? Do you go, into the backwoods and make moonshine? What are you doing? You know what I mean? So
now you've gone to meddling.
I know. See?
That heavenly flow will keep you on the go. Works every time.
The other thing you talk about is, you said about not saying anything, and it is really about, you say 80% is listening. That's good communication.
Yes,
it is. 80%.
Absolutely.
It's at least 80% listening.
The other,
if you don't listen, you don't know how to.
Yeah, we all jump in immediately. We didn't listen.
If you don't, I just went through the experience of buying a new computer, and
oh wow,
it was so frustrating that I just wanted to call the company and say, you know what, I want your computer, but I don't want you, because I couldn't get anybody to hear what I was saying. They were telling me what I want. I'm like, don't tell me what I want. Because
I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
I'll tell you what I want.
That's
and
annoying.
Then you go find it.
And rude. It's very rude.
It's horrible. And eventually, after 6 phone calls, I finally found a person that just let me say what I was after. And, it was interesting. They came back to the same model of computer that I was looking at. Instead of the ones saying, no, you don't want this, you want this over there. I'm like, how do you know? You haven't asked me why I want it.
Well, you get people that are dogmatic to the point of, you don't really know what you want, but I know what you want. How absurd. That's
really.
That's to me, that's rude on its face.
Exactly.
To assume you know me better than I know me.
Exactly.
I doubt it. Because I'm not telling you everything.
When you go into negotiation, you come in and say, hey, this is what I'm about. Then they speak, the other side speaks, and you just listen, right? That's the thing. Okay.
Well, and you need to keep in negotiation. One of the things that's always good to do, if possible, and that's use likability and fear together.
I know, that was a crazy part. Yeah.
See, my Nana used to say, after an argument, don't forget to pick up the bullets. And it took me a long time to figure that out. It's like, go ahead.
But she's right. The point is, if I don't know what you want, then how am I going to judge which direction you might go in? I need to do it's. George S. Patton said it as well as anybody. I want to know my enemy like the back of my hand. I want to know when he goes to the bathroom. I want to know when he goes to bed. I want to know what time he gets up, has his meals. I want to know everything I can learn about that person, because he's going to tell me things just by his actions.
Exactly.
And then when in negotiations, I always walk on it, I drive on it, I think it through, I look up, because there's no point in seeking a negotiation without it being beneficial. Like if it's not a match, I ain't doing it. It's like you can see, okay, well, this looks interesting. Let's see. I always go into, is it? I think if it is, then here's what we want to do, and how can we benefit each other? To me, like it has to have that. But there's like you go in knowing. I mean, do you think, like, when there's like the homework part of someone going into negotiation is thinking that scenario through? To me, I visualize it. I'm weird, I know, but I visualize and write it down. This is what it's about. Like, have a plan of action. And once you have
not
it,
weird. That's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my ego just like swelled a little bit there, Ralph.
Thanks a lot, Ralph.
But thank goodness you did a great job teaching her, Nancy.
Oh, well,
right.
okay. So Nancy taught me one of the tools in your book, and it was about you talk about not giving away the farm, and we talked about that in the beginning, but she said some things are a tool where you can come in and add things on later. Don't add that in. Have something in your back pocket as a tool. And I would always go in, here, we can do all of everything. And she's like, no, no, no. And it took me a while to learn, through the years. But you talk about that in here, too, because, again, that's part of the other side feeling the win-win, right?
Absolutely. And it's also a way to add on value.
Exactly.
To the deal.
The more you give it away, the less value you have.
That's really important. I used to be in a position of negotiating 50 times a day in certain ways. Especially if you have children, you negotiate with them 10 or 20 times a day.
And that never goes away.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
But a thing that folks don't realize how important it is in negotiation, and that is simply do the listening. And that's something we've already talked about. But more importantly than that is to set very clear time and date deadlines in your demands. Now, let me tell you what a time and date deadline happened to be. I'm going to give you 2 examples if I can. First one, Jack, I'd like to have that paper you're doing for me on my desk first thing in the morning. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I'll do it. Well, to me, first thing in the morning's 8 a.m. sitting on my desk. To him, it's 10 o'clock after the break. Now, before we even get started, we're at loggerheads.
Yep.
You were late. No, sir, I was on time. No, sir, you were late. Clear, definable date and time deadlines. I'll be there first thing in the morning, and I show up at 10 o'clock. Well, that's when I go to work. It's first at 10 o'clock. He goes at 7:30.
Yep.
So you have to be very, very insistent on date and time deadlines. It's a situation, again, just like the situation of 8 o'clock in the morning, and you say first thing in the morning, and that's 8 o'clock to me and 10 o'clock to him, or even 9 o'clock.
It just
sets the wrong
4 a.m.
pace
for me, man. That's 4 a.m. for me. But anyway, that's not. No one's gonna like me for that.
It's called setting the playing field.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And the important thing is if you can set your goals so that you do not have to think about what time you have to be there. He said first thing in the morning. I don't know. Is that 7 or is that 8, 9, 10? What is it? Ask the question.
And
What
don't be afraid of that in a
morning?
negotiation. to get to understand and get to the nitty gritty. If you don't, you're going to something weird's going to happen later, man. Seriously.
It doesn't work because I'd like to see that on my desk at 9 a.m. in my inbox. Now that's pretty clear. And if it's there, we've got things working. And if it isn't, we need to talk. But it's time and date.
Isn't it also important for the other side, if you are handling something for someone, to live up? We're going back to integrity again, right? Hey, you need this lawnmower delivered by this time. I don't know why I'm thinking of lawnmowers suddenly, but there it is. Your lawnmower needs to be delivered by this time because you need to have the grass mowed down for, the backyard wedding that's happening, with your children. Back to the kids. So there has to be that part of the negotiation too, where some things are really time specific.
Well, it's for example, with my books, I have colleges are now picking up my book for required reading, and we've talked about that. But I'm working with a university right now. In fact, I'm going to deliver some books to him via the U.S. mail tomorrow.
Cool.
But he knows exactly when to expect those books because we have set it in concrete.
Awesome.
I am mailing it tomorrow at 10 a.m., and they are promising UPS. They're promising me delivery in 2 days by 5 p.m. And I say to them, my customer, if that doesn't happen, you let me know. And that gives them even more confidence. And if it doesn't get there, then I'll go to bat for them.
Exactly.
And we
see,
should.
I like that. I like that.
When you're negotiating with somebody, if it's like kind of like a wrestling match. If the two sides aren't equal in their ability, then you don't have a match. Like you don't want like this big old sumo wrestler with some little tiny person just starting out. It's not equal. So when you negotiate, people got to come to the table with what's true, so you can sort of ferret it out and go, okay, that's going to work, that's not going to work. But you got to come from the idea of let's make it work, not come from the idea of we don't want this to work. It's like going to, it's like, are you going into battle, or are you going to go into battle to make it work?
Yeah, exactly. I like
know what you're fighting for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Know your stuff. Get your homework done. You talk about that. Have your homework done. Don't go in there like you don't, However, change could happen. You may have a meeting set up with somebody, done your homework, learned about the person. You get to the meeting, that person is sick, and somebody else is stepping in, right? So so you have to be able to handle your change, but that's part of doing the homework, because then you can,
Well, I've had that happen, and first thing I do is I introduce myself to the new person, and the first thing I do is, let's assume his name is Jack. Jack, tell me, take 2 minutes to 5 minutes, whatever it takes, and tell me about your situation and your position. I'm interested in knowing what we can do for you as well as your company today.
Awesome. Exactly.
And he will tell, or she will tell me, well, I'm a graduate of Podunk University, and I've been this and I've been that, and I'm involved here, and I serve on the so-and-so committee, and I like to dance, and I...
and I like a sunset walk on the beach, Ralph.
Yeah.
Yes, well,
kind of guy.
But isn't this, at the end of the day too? You talk about making it a team effort, And I think that's really important because you're solving. A negotiation is solving a problem together, a solution, right? Or filling a need of each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's a marriage.
And again, yes, and the you have a person that you're in negotiation with. You are not at war with this person.
Right.
You are trying to get the best deal you can for you or your company, and she is trying to get the best deal for her or him and their company.
Mm-hmm.
And the key is, whatever you do, never, never, never lose your temper.
No.
Never get sharp. He could make 100 mistakes. That's okay. You just sit there and just think to yourself how much I'm going to slice this guy up and fillet him.
I'm going to be a Dexter when I get home. Get you later. But it's true that the emotional part, it's very difficult. I think also as women, there is a tendency to be like, it's like that tendency. We have that. We're good at it. And men have the kind of that, they'll say something that, hey, you shouldn't have said. Like, we all have our little points as male, female, and I shouldn't say that. Now I'm going to get emails and crazy comments. But there is the different, structures of who we are. And it's interesting.
There really is a difference between men and women, and those who say there aren't have never seen one.
Well, you have to know who you are, basically. And if you know that something's going to tick you off, then you need to know, if they tick you off, know not to be ticked off. Okay. You know yourself. Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay. When I worked for the auto club, automobile club, go ahead.
I was just going to say, self-talk is where you are. Self-talk
you have to have that.
Out of it.
Yeah.
What was that about the automobile club?
Okay, when I worked for the automobile club, thank you. Nice segue. When I worked for the automobile club, I started as a file clerk, and I worked my way up to a claims adjuster, and it was really interesting because there weren't very many women claims adjusters. And I was really young, and I worked my way up. And one of the first things that happened as a claims adjuster, I overdid my homework because I was like one of the first women to do this in the auto club. And so I get this file, and I read it like 100 times. And the first thing that came to me was there were these United States standards of medical practice. How much should you charge for an x-ray? How much should you charge for this, that, and the other? And you got them in a big book at the time. And I knew from being a file clerk, because I had to file those into the books, that those standards were there. But the claims adjusters were mostly men, and they never started as file clerk, just saying. And so they never knew about the book, where all these papers came in that the women had to file. So I knew it was there, and I started looking. So when I became a claims adjuster, the first thing I did on a file was I didn't call our insured person, and I didn't call the claimant. I called the doctors and said, you're charging like $25 more than the U.S. standard. Can you explain that? So my first negotiations were with the doctors, and I got them to reduce the bill. And nobody told me you weren't supposed to do that, and nobody told me to do it. I just did it because I thought that what made sense to me was like, okay, if I can reduce the claimant's bill, I can reduce what they're asking for as a claimant. And
hence
so
why we're entrepreneurs today.
So when they walked in, and they're like, "Oh, my bills are $890," I'm like, "No, actually, they're $200," because here. And I got in so much trouble for it, but then I got promoted later. But I could negotiate cases at a lower point for the claimant. They didn't like it, but the insured people liked it because you could reduce the damages. And there was a negotiation. The doctors didn't know what to do. They were like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, well, I know it. And at that time, it was like, oh, I can send this by snail mail, or I could fax you later. You could fax them and say, here, this is the U.S. standard. You're charging too much. It was interesting, and it was all because nobody trained me on what to do and how to do it. But it worked, and there was a negotiation with the doctors. And when the people, sometimes they walked in with the big lawyer guy, right? They walked in. It was really interesting because
there's some of those.
They didn't have the facts. I'm like, no, but actually the bill's this. And then they were like, oh, the whole, like the bottom of their case is dropped out because they didn't have the facts, and I didn't tell them until the negotiation part.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
You didn't enjoy that, did you?
Not at all.
Yes, I bet.
It was fun.
I know I would have. I would have.
But I think that's interesting though, because it's about looking at the what's going on, but you didn't do your homework on the other side. It
was funny.
But that's a very good point. You need to look at everything, and what you think should cost 50 cents. When you look it up, it might cost a dime.
Yep. Exactly.
And I think that's where you're coming from. I mean, this seems normal, $50 for this part of the doctor's visit. But when you look at the norm, it may be 30.
And it's true because when I broke my ankle at one point, and it was like, $300, right? And then they go, you can't bandage the ankle, too bad for you, bye-bye. Then in an insurance claim, the $300 bill went to like, $15,000. You're like, what?
The workman's comp.
Yeah, there's something going on there. So I was like, wait a minute.
It's interesting. It's interesting how things change, huh?
Yeah.
Or don't.
Well, it is. And again, the thing I like about negotiation, if you don't ask for it, you're not going to get it. And you need to always ask for more than you think you can get.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think there's fear involved with that. And isn't that fear of change? At the end of the day, when we, I want to go back to negotiation and change go hand in hand, because it's like, oh, we're going to buy a new car. Well, now it's going to be a new car. It's going to change. We're going to have to, see if the dog can go in there. Are we going to go down the same roads? Can we, whatever it is. That's a change. And so I think people do try to put it off unless you're in that world of negotiating on a personal level. You could put it off, and as a salesperson, you need to identify with that fear of people and understand that they could have a fear of negotiation and doing business because it's changed. And I never thought of that until we met you. So there.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You both, I think, are getting to have a very good knowledge of what change is and what it's about and what it is not. And you are to be commended. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Change Agent.
Well,
lastly,
it's important. It's just important. If you don't take into consideration change, you're going to miss a whole bunch.
Yep.
A huge part of what you say in your book, in this chapter on the art of negotiation, and everyone, again, Conquer, Change, and Win. Check it out, conquerchangeandwin.com, Amazon. Just got to do that. Now, if you say at the end, and an important point, which I think is one of the best, You never know whom you will be negotiating with in the future. Try not to burn any bridges.
For sure.
I think that is crucial.
Yep.
I think that's one of the most important pieces of advice ever.
Well, it really people just don't think about it, and sometimes they will get so involved and have tunnel vision about something that is minor that could set off a bad relationship next time when you're going to be talking about something major and you've got another hill to climb that you built.
It's true.
Oh.
No, it's true.
I don't want to build a hill, especially not the that other hill, the hill. I don't want to be part of it.
Yes, I understand that.
I'm just saying, but it's true. But
true.
you never know, because I mean, just in the over 20 years of running the blend in all the different facets that it's gone through, change of all of it.
Sure.
So there's people that I've worked with that are the ticket people at an event, and next thing you know, they're buying the ads. You know what I mean? It's like you've got to know. And again, at the end of the day, it's about integrity and being nice, and just, you say patience is a virtue, and that's it. At the end of the day, negotiating is an art. That's the truth. And I don't, I know there's bad salespeople out there that are just this, 1-800-EXPRESS. It's annoying things, you know what I mean, that just drive you nuts.
I do.
That, you know what I mean. There's things that happen that are fine, and she's probably really cool, just annoying at a certain point. But she drives it home in that commercial on TV. But there's this thing of getting people to just communicate. At the end of the day, a negotiation is teamwork and getting down. How can we work together and have a good time? And when that happens, it's the most amazing thing, and you can create such amazing things if both parties keep to the integrity, keep to the goal, keep to the deadlines, keep to those things. Everybody has a good time, and bigger things can be built. It's amazing. I get excited with partnerships that come together. It's not always like the money thing. It's about what can happen from there on. Things can build into bigger things. I get excited.
But that's one of the things you ladies have done a magnificent job. How many partners do you have? I wonder. 100, 200, 3?
It's a few hundred. It's a few hundred in all levels, in all spheres.
Absolutely. That's magnificent.
Because for us, I realized a long time ago, and I learned it the hard way, the partner that you have comes first, or you are on your own.
We call it the Big Blend family.
Yeah, and you have to do not only what you told them you would do, you have to do more than what you promised. You have to.
And
absolutely.
Yes.
You always have to do more than they expected, and you not only more, but you have to do it every time. You can't just do it once and go, okay, I'm good on that level there, whatever. You have to be, I call it being invested with, we really care how our people do. We care about our readers and our supporters, our advertisers, because
I
if you don't
really believe that.
We do, because if you don't, you got nothing.
Yeah.
Well, you do care, and I think that is what it's about, and it shows. You are smart ladies, but you are also ladies that are fun to talk to.
Well, thank you. Well, our
so.
egos are about to bump into each other in this room right now. And Priscilla's going to have to
Well, I'd like a raise. I'd like a raise.
Well, Priscilla handles that. She'll send her more shine. I'm sure she'll get it. But we'll see you in person. We'll do that. But she'll help you on that. But here's the thing too. I wanted to touch on this about negotiation. there is a negotiation to get the negotiation.
Yes.
I wanted to touch on that, the importance of the negotiation to get the negotiation. Your negotiation doesn't start when you get the sit-down meeting, wherever it is, and it could be online, it could be through, online meetings now and all that. There is a negotiation to make that happen, which goes to you never know who you're talking with. And I know you say talk to only the decision maker at the point of the negotiation. Otherwise, I know because I've given the whole message and then they blew it. And I'm like, well, now that sucks. And then you have to be nice because later they did actually get it, and you'll get the deal 20 years later, and that's happened. But but the reality is, yes, get that person. However, you have to go through those channels, and so negotiation. Your key on the 80% of listening, which we've done so well tonight, right, Ralph? It goes to that happens in getting the negotiation to getting to the right person. That's a huge part of it.
Well, negotiation, first of all, you must know what you want.
Yep.
And if you don't know that, don't negotiate. And it's amazing how many people, well, I want 2 or 3 different things, so let's get on with this. Let's see what we could get here. Well, that's no plan. That's a plan to come out a loser simply because if the other person has planned their attack, and I say that word correctly, I don't mean it's a war, but they do attack and set things up, and if you're not willing to have done that in advance as well, then you're going to lose. And I don't, I've heard people come out of negotiations and they said, I cannot believe they brought that up. I wouldn't have thought of that in 100 years. You didn't do your homework.
That's right. Oh, man, homework is everything. And, I think, in school you get that satchel back. Well, I don't know if kids have satchels and full of homework anymore, but I did.
Satchel.
And you sit back and you have to do this homework. But I think is one of the most important lessons in life, because if you do not do your homework, you ain't going to get anywhere. You need to look in the future, look at any possibility that can happen. Have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, like as Nancy's always taught me, have this, but really go for plan A as though there is no plan B, C, because you're going to have to use that flexibility key, the change key, at any point.
But you got to have another plan.
Yes. You have to have all those things. I love this chapter in your book. It really is one of my favorites, for sure. And it is an art. It's about the art of communication, I think, at the end of the day.
Well, you're very kind, and I appreciate that. But don't forget, at the same time, to set upper and lower limits for yourself.
Exactly.
You must know the high side of what you want, what you would make you very, very happy, and what will be okay. But you also must know that you have a line you will never go below.
See, exactly.
And if you go that route and you have that parameter around your thinking, you'll end up winning. And again, what is wrong with everybody winning?
I love it. I love it.
Exactly.
I think we need more of it. That's my new song. I love it. I love it. I think we need more of it. No, but it's true. I hate to say
Were you
this,
a cheerleader? That was terrific.
I was never a cheerleader. I can't do that and do splits in the air.
You tried once.
No, I did netball. That's far more fun. They didn't have cheerleading when I was in Africa. But I did want to say, it is like Kenny Rogers. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Yep.
You need to know. And so, Ralph, I'm going to take you to a casino. Is that okay? We need your help when we go to a casino again. And Ralph will go, no, not happening. Know your stuff. No.
Well, just be kind to Priscilla this week, and
okay.
And I hope she gets to feeling better and is able to come to one of the broadcasts. in the future.
And a sober one, like she'll be fine. She's
just
coming.
As long as she's not slobbering.
No, she got a little slobbery on the moonshine you sent us, and she jived right in. She just like, this is mine. That's it. I'm jiving. I got it.
Well,
it's mine. And Flying Fabio got a little jealous, but he did get a little sip. We both got a little sip, and we went, ooh la la. Tennessee's got some good stuff going on. We can't wait to see you. We're going to see you this year, Ralph. It's going to happen. 2019.
Well,
it's really, truly going to happen.
I am delighted, and I'm looking forward to getting to spend some time with you ladies when you come through East Tennessee on your way to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
And we're going to go to the Daniel Boone Museum. We want to go there, the little tavern, right?
You want to go? Well, there's the Davy Crockett Museum as well.
Daniel Boone. I keep getting Davy Crockett. Thank you, Daniel Boone. Nancy and I've been talking about doing a thing on Daniel Boone, but maybe we have to do a thing on Davy Crockett too.
Absolutely, and we have some very good restaurants in this area.
Cool. He's selling us. Look,
and that
the
means I'm inviting
you.
I'm inviting you for dinner.
Cool.
Oh,
thank
cool.
You.
We can't wait. We can't wait. Thank you, Ralph.
Quickly we snap that up.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
We're accepting that. Everyone, again, the book is Conquer, Change, and Win, an easy-to-read, fun book on the serious subject of change. And seriously, go get it. Reading it gets your head clear. Not just for business, but for personal as well.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, negotiation, you could be doing it with a car, like I said. It could be you're buying a house. It could be negotiating schools with your kids, because apparently that really sucks. So you need to read Ralph's book, Conquer, Change, and Win, so you can get your kids into the right school. I'm just saying. I've heard from some friends, like, dude, that's not cool. It's a big, you need Conquer, Change, and Win. And go to conquerchangeandwin.com, and also on Amazon especially. Ralph, we have to play a change song for you, and I know we played this on one of the first shows you were with us on Big Blend Radio here. And today it's called Change is Coming Down. It's from Johnny Master and the Mama's Boys from one of their earlier albums, Take Me to Your Maker. JohnnyMaster.com. Check them out. They're touring Europe right now and kicking butt as always. They're based in New Orleans. They made a change. They went from Long Beach to New Orleans. But here it is. Change is coming down. And it's an old school song, man. And it's awesome.
All right. Let's listen.
All right. Thanks, Ralph. You take care, and see you soon.
Okie doke. Have a great one, Nancy.
You too.
Justice